If you're a trucker, you know the feeling. The constant hum of the engine, yeah, but also that constant churn of news, rumors,
Oh,
regulations.
yeah, it's a lot.
It really is. It can feel like, I don't know, a tidal wave sometimes. Easy to get overwhelmed.
Absolutely. But staying informed, well, it's more than just dodging a ticket, isn't it?
It really is. It's about navigating your career, protecting your bottom line, and honestly, building your future the way you want to.
Exactly. And that's what we're trying to do today. Cut through some of that noise.
Right. We're doing a deep dive into some recent updates, regulations, tech, legal stuff that really hit home for you on the road.
We want you to leave this feeling, genuinely informed, not just about the headaches, but about the solutions too. Empowered, hopefully.
Think of it as your shortcut. We'll unpack things, look at different angles, offer some actual insights.
Hmm.
Make sure you feel respected, supported, and ready for whatever's next.
Sounds good. Let's jump in.
Okay, first up, there's this kind of dusty old rule. Suddenly it's got teeth, and it's causing a real stir, especially down at the border.
The English proficiency one. 49 CFR, section 391.11B2.
That's the one. Been around forever, but now the DOT is saying, look, you need to speak and understand English well enough for officers, signs, forms, all that.
And the enforcement date is what, June 25th, 2025?
Yep, June 25th, 2025. And if you don't comply, immediate out-of-service order. Right there on the spot.
Wow. That's significant. It's amazing how a rule that's just sat there for decades can suddenly cause such a major disruption.
Right. It's like, who knew that regulation would be trending?
Well, looking at the bigger picture, this isn't just a headache for drivers at the border. It hits the whole supply chain, trade flow, costs.
Definitely.
So the big question is, what can drivers and fleets actually do to get ready for this sudden crackdown?
Yeah, because this could sideline thousands of Mexican drivers. We're talking potentially serious delays, freight piling up, real supply chain chaos.
You mentioned Otay Mesa, Laredo.
Exactly. Those crossings are expected to be ground zero. And costs are already creeping up because shippers are, trying to figure out alternatives.
And the perspectives on this are all over the place, aren't they?
Totally. Fleets and shippers, they're scrambling, offering English classes, maybe rerouting freight.
Understandably.
For Mexican truckers, many are proud pros, maybe not fluent in English. They feel blindsided. Their livelihoods are on the line.
Yeah, I can imagine.
U.S. regulators say, hey, it's a safety thing. Officers need to communicate in emergencies.
Okay.
But then trade advocates are calling it a hidden trade barrier.
Yeah.
Maybe even violating the USMCA agreement.
So it's complex. Real human impact, real economic impact. Stuff you as a driver are going to feel one way or another.
But here's where it gets, really interesting. There's a new tool. Could be a game changer for drivers sweating this.
Oh, yeah. What's that?
CarriersEdge. They just launched a new English language proficiency assessment, an ELP test.
Okay, CarriersEdge? What does it do?
It's an online tool, and it actually simulates a roadside inspection. You get spoken prompts, like from an officer. You have to interpret signs, respond clearly.
So it's practical, not just vocabulary lists.
Exactly. And the key thing, it's diagnostic.
Meaning, not just pass-fail.
Right.
Yeah.
It doesn't just give you a score.
Yeah.
It gives you and your fleet data on where you might need more training, specific areas for improvement.
That's actually really smart. It turns a potential problem into, a roadmap for getting better. Gives drivers some control back, building resilience on their own terms. It's not an official government test, but it helps you prepare before you're face-to-face with DOT.
Exactly. It's a first line of defense, low-pressure assessment.
And who is this for? Just border crossers.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Right.
It applies to every CDL driver on U.S. roads. CarriersEdge built it because fleets were, quote, extremely worried.
Makes sense.
They're offering a free trial, even a webinar to explain the requirements. It's a solid, proactive step you can take. Could save you from that OWOS order and the cash hit that comes with it.
Good to know. Definitely something to look into.
Okay, switching gears a bit.
Yeah.
There's been a ton of chatter lately, right? Even seeing urgent texts flying around about ELDs for pre-2000 trucks.
Oh, that rumor. Yeah, it spread like wildfire, didn't it?
It really did. So what's the actual deal? The rumor is basically pre-2000 engine trucks have to get ELDs by June 2025 or they're out of service.
Right. And that caused some panic, I bet. It really shows how fast misinformation can take hold. So how do you cut through that noise? How do truckers find the real info so they're not wasting time or money?
That's the key question. Let's clear it up. The reality, as of June 23, 2025, the FMCSA is maintaining the long-standing exemption for pre-2000 engines.
Okay. So no change there.
No change. You can absolutely keep using paper logs. Just make sure you've got documentation for that engine build date.
So what's this June 2025 date people are talking about then?
That date refers to a Notice of Proposed Rulemaking deadline, an NPRM. Think of it like it's on the FMCSA's to-do list. It's step one in a potentially long process.
Not a compliance date.
Not at all.
Yeah.
If they actually proposed a change, there'd be a whole public comment period, lots of steps, nothing immediate.
Yeah.
So you have time. No need to panic by an ELD.
Yeah, Landline Magazine, Trucker's Guide, they both jumped in to debunk that rumor pretty quickly. And companies like RootMate, Simply Fleet were saying, hold on, don't scramble.
Right.
And it makes sense. The FMCSA knows a lot of those older engines just don't have the ECMs, the engine control modules, needed for ELDs anyway. That's why the exemption exists.
So for all you owner-operators running those classic rigs,
Yeah.
you still have that paper log flexibility. Just keep that engine paperwork handy. Don't let rumors cost you money or peace of mind.
Good advice. Verify before you buy.
Okay, now, from adding rules, let's talk about taking them away. The DOT just hit the delete button on like over 50 trucking and transport rules. Sounds pretty good, right? They're calling it the largest regulatory cleanup in DOT history.
Huh? Over 50 rules. On the surface, yeah, sounds great. More efficiency. But you got to look at it from different angles, right? How does that kind of big deregulation sweep actually impact safety, insurance, the whole ecosystem? It's not always straightforward.
Exactly. 20 of those cuts are from the FMCSA alone. Things like needing a paper ELD manual in the cab. Gone. The driver self-reporting rule for violations. Gone. Old gear mandates like fused spares, flares, certain tapes. Scrapped.
Why now? What's the reasoning?
They're saying it's about modernizing regulations without hurting safety. Secretary Sean Duffy said, we are cutting the fat, not the muscle.
Okay, cutting the fat. But how's the industry reacting? Is everyone cheering?
It's definitely mixed. Fleets,
Okay.
mostly loving it. Less paper, maybe faster inspections.
Makes sense for them.
Owner-operators, kind of a mixed bag. Some are like, about time. Others are a bit worried, could insurance rates go up if safety enforcement feels fuzzier?
That's an interesting point. I hadn't quite thought about the insurance angle for owner-ops there.
Yeah. And safety advocates, they're definitely sounding alarms, worried that important protections are being lost.
Right.
But then brokers and 3PLs, they're actually applauding it, saying it updates policies to match today's technology.
So a real split in opinions, depending on where you sit.
For sure. The big takeaway for you, the driver, keep track of what's actually finalized versus what's just proposed. That affects your day-to-day compliance, your planning. Diligence is key.
Always.
All right, let's pivot again. Something that could really hit your wallet. New laws down in Louisiana shaking up accident and lawsuit handling. This is all about protecting yourself.
Louisiana tort reform. Yeah, heard about this. Effective August 1st, 2025 for most of it, right?
That's right. And the dashcam discount part starts January 1st, 2026. They're targeting uninsured drivers and what the state sees as frivolous lawsuits.
This really hammers home how crucial it is to be proactive, not just driving safely, but documenting everything. So what specific steps should drivers be taking right now to really protect themselves with these changes coming?
We'll take the no pay, no play rule. It just got meaner. If you're uninsured and in a crash, you're now barred from recovering the first $100,000 of damages.
Wow, $100. That's a huge deductible, basically.
Basically, if you're uninsured and hoping to sue, that wreck better be worth way over 6 figures before you see a dime.
Okay, what else?
The Housley presumption is gone. That used to assume injuries showing up after an accident were caused by the accident. Now, the person suing has to prove it. Burden of proof is on them with medical notes, clear timelines.
That's a significant shift. And wasn't there something about fault percentage too?
Yep. If you're found 51% or more at fault, you collect 0 damages. Zilch.
And limits for undocumented immigrants on general damages too?
That's in there as well. Limits on things like pain and suffering.
Man, it really shows how vital it is to have all your ducks in a row insurance evidence, because one bad incident without protection could be financially devastating. It's not just about winning a case, it's about your whole future.
But here's the carrot, the incentive for drivers. Starting January 1, 2026, insurers have to offer premium discounts for commercial vehicles with working dash cams and telematics.
Ah, so a direct financial reward for having the tech.
Exactly. Like the state is nudging everyone towards better documentation and safety tech.
How are different groups reacting?
Well, trucking companies, mostly applauding. Makes defending cases easier.
Okay.
Solo drivers, owner ops, it's that double-edged sword again. Big win if you have the insurance and the camera. Huge risk if you don't. Could mean bankruptcy.
Right, and lawyers.
Injury lawyers,
Yeah.
not thrilled. It raises the bar significantly for plaintiffs, safety advocates,
Yeah.
mixed feelings, worries about low-income drivers, but also maybe a push towards more responsibility.
So the bottom line for drivers everywhere, not just Louisiana.
Absolutely. Review your insurance now. Make sure those dash cams are working. Understand your liability coverage. These kinds of laws have a tendency to spread, so being prepared is smart no matter where you run.
Proactive awareness. Key theme today.
Definitely. Okay, let's look a bit further down the road now. Autonomous electric trucks. It's not sci-fi anymore. There's a Swedish company, Einride. They're getting major U.S. approvals.
Einride. Yeah, they've been making waves. This isn't just about fancy new trucks, is it? It's potentially a massive shift in how freight moves and what roles people play in that system.
Really.
Connecting this to the bigger picture, technology is always reshaping work. It demands we adapt. So, from a driver's viewpoint, what does this really mean for preparing? Can you actually capitalize on these changes?
Well, look at their progress. NHTSA approval back in June 2022. That was historic. For their pod, totally driverless, electric, no cab, just remote supervision on public roads.
Remote supervision, that's a potential new role right there.
Could be. They already did a successful pilot with GE Appliances hauling freight in Tennessee, and they just opened North America's biggest EV charging hub out in Linwood, California. 65 chargers can handle 200 heavy-duty trucks a day.
Wow, that's serious infrastructure. Not just a test anymore.
Not at all. They have major partnerships. GE Appliances, PepsiCo Frito-Lay. They're deploying electric fleets. Plus, they raised $500 million in financing, and there's buzz about a 2025 IPO. Things are moving fast.
Okay, so the implications. Fleet owners are looking at fuel and labor savings, sure, but probably worried about reliability, costs.
Yeah, a big upfront investment.
Drivers and maybe these future remote operators, new kinds of work, maybe, but also real anxiety about displacement by automation, job security questions.
Huge questions.
Regulators have to focus on safety oversight, careful planning, and sustainability. Folks, they see the CO2 reduction potential, but scaling it up is the challenge.
It's important, I think, not to just see this as a threat. It's an evolution.
Yeah.
This industry has always adapted. Your skills, your experience, that's incredibly valuable. Maybe it's time to think about adding new skills, like remote operation, as things shift. Stay ahead of the curve.
Adaptability is key.
Which ultimately brings everything back to you, the driver. All these regulations, legal changes, new tech. It comes down to how you manage your career. Not just for the shippers, but for yourself.
And that raises a really crucial question, doesn't it? How do you actively shape your future? How do you leverage that downtime wisely? It's about empowering yourself way beyond just the next load.
Exactly.
Building other income streams, learning new things. That's not just about money, though. That's huge. It's about intellectual growth, personal agency, seeing your time, your most valuable resource, as an investment in you.
That's perfectly put. And it's exactly the philosophy behind sites like lifeattrucker.com and retirefromtrucking.com. Their whole mission is helping truckers get out of trucking, but on their own terms, not because they're forced out.
Right. Offering a way out of some of the
pain and suffering, as they put it. They're actually training truckers on using AI, artificial intelligence, to create extra income streams online.
That's fascinating. Using AI.
Yeah. Think about what that recurring online income could do.
It's like a shield, right, from the ups and downs of freight rates, the economy.
Absolutely. It gives you power. Power to retire when you decide you're ready. Not when your body gives out or the industry changes under your feet.
It could even soften the blow if, say, your company goes under or you face some other big challenge.
For sure. This whole proactive approach, learning new skills, using downtime smart, building those online income streams, it's a real strategy for long-term security. For freedom.
It echoes what Hervey from Life, as a trucker, often says, right? Look at issues from all sides. Make proactive choices for your own future. Don't just react.
Exactly. So, as you hit the road after listening to this, remember, being a trucker isn't just about the driving anymore. It's about navigating this incredibly dynamic landscape, protecting your future, building a life on your terms.
Your time, your skills, your insights, they are so valuable. The question is, how are you going to invest them?
How will you invest them to build the future you really want? That's the thought we want to leave you with.
Because ultimately, the drivers who thrive in this changing world won't just be adapting. They'll be strategically diversifying, constantly learning, and turning all this uncertainty into their own plan for freedom and control.